In June last year, Alan moved into a shared house I live in. I had bad vibes earlier once, but I decided I was paranoid and this guy was new and probably felt awkward and lonely, especially with COVID going around. Sometime later, Alan wanted to have drinks in his room. I figured I should be able to feel safe in my own house, and that if anything were to happen, that would be on him, not me, because I do not believe in victim blaming. Things were fine at the first, but as he got drunker, Alan started leaning over me, sitting uncomfortably close, putting me on camera while he videotaped me, called his brother, and repeatedly called me beautiful. I shied away from him touching me, but he didn't take the hint and went as far as pulling up my wrists to dance with him. After I politely said no a few times, after I politely said no a few times, after that, I left with Alan with was in the bathroom and I told him my housemate, Clan, downstairs what happened. He responded by telling me to go to my room and let him know if Alan tried to force entry, but he also said that it was my fault for going in there. Alan found me downstairs and tried convincing me to come back up. He asked what I wanted and I politely said I needed him to back off. Somehow Alan left the conversation still assuming I was going back to his room, and when I didn't, he knocked at my door and phoned me 3 times. After this, I felt awkward around Alan and generally avoided him until he confronted me in the kitchen, saying that if it wasn't nice to report him or to the landlord. The report turned out to be from Clan about an unrelated incident. I was honest with Alan about the reasons for my discomfort but explained that I didn't report him. Instead of being apologetic, Alan went on to say how many girls he had in his life, what a great person he was, and how he was saying I felt uncomfortable made him feel uncomfortable. We left the conversation on a civil note, but after repeated occasions, when he forcibly hugged me after being told no, I made it clear that we were not friends. Fast forward a few months, and Sophie moved into the house. Like me, she was very friendly to Alan until his behavior became a problem. There was multiple complaints from various housemates over the course of the few months due to Alan being noisy all hours, smoking cigarettes and weed in the house, and being harassed and threatened. Alan assumed it was me reporting him because all of our issues. One day he came up to me while I was making dinner and said, "If you report to me to the landlord again, I will be the craziest man you'll ever see." And he developed a habit of standing outside my door, talking to Sophie about me, calling me a bastard, dickhead, ugly, to name a few. One day Sophie sent an audio recording where Alan shouted, "Anyone who reports to me to the landlord will die in the name of Jesus." Me and Sophie generally started to feel under threat after this and shared our concerns with the landlord, who then told the police, who said that they could not do anything at this point. Our landlord lady served an eviction notice due to the unpaid rent and antisocial behavior, but due to COVID, he was given 6 months to leave. He has been given a shorter notice recently due to his behavior escalating. Alan accuses Sophie of banging on his walls and then spends hours shouting in his room or the hallway saying that she is a witch and know that we will all die by the swords of Jesus. He does not listen when any of us try to reason with him. The police arrested Alan recently on charges of stalking and harassment with the women outside the house, but he was released on a bail that evening and is still out on bail. The police have been contacted and called out multiple times by due to the threatening or antisocial behavior, and Alan has called the police and ambulance out multiple times himself for no good reason, and has then just ranted them out. There doesn't seem to be any consequences for this, and they quickly leave on most occasions. There have been many more incidents with Alan than this post describes, including him attempting to get a job at my workplace. It is very clear that all of us involved that Alan has mental health issues and is very deluded. It also likely seems that he is an alcoholic because he is drunk regularly, smells of alcohol, and goes out daily to buy drinks. Emergency service don't appear to take the situation very seriously, and Alan's behavior doesn't improve after they visit. Alan is due to be evicted next week, but I know that he won't go willingly, and it could take a while for him to go. I am also due to move out soon, but I've had almost a year of his shit, and while I've been most of his threats and behavior to be a childish way of letting him off stream, there is no telling how far a person like him will go to protect their decisions. few years ago, my husband was working swing shifts. At the time, we only had one car, so I'd drive him and then pick him up, which was irritating because I had to wake up almost fully, drive him 30 minutes in and then 30 minutes home, and then I can go back to sleep for an hour or so. So before I had to get ready for work, one day I dropped him off in the wee morning hours. I started at a gas station, not far from where I work at, but to get a pack of cigarettes. When I came out of the store, there was a large white van parked beside my car. There had been a few warnings on Facebook about a white van in the area that was up to no good, so I took a notice of it because weren't a lot of people around, and I found it strange that they decided to park directly beside my car, seeing as how there were empty spaces all around the lot. I headed to my car. I already wary of the van, and two guys popped out of it. They weren't very young or old, just average looking and a little dirty. I don't judge though, as they could have been working, so I continued to walking towards my car. One of them yelled out at the other tech. He dropped his birth certificate. The second guy got a very confused look on his face. I didn't see anything come out when the passenger opened the door, so I knew that he didn't drop anything, but I was thinking to myself, why would you have that with you? So as long as I got between my car and the van, the driver fast walked around the front of the van, came up behind me with the passenger in front of me, effectively blocking me between the vehicles. The passenger then asked me to look for his birth certificate, and I declined. He said, "Come on, help a guy out." I looked at him, keeping the driver in my sight and keeping my back to my car, and said no very firmly. By this time, I was standing right in front of my door handle, so I reached behind me, grasped the door handle, and pulled. As I started to sit backwards into my car, the passengers reached out my arm, and I managed to pull my car door shut and lock the door before he can get my door open. I threw my car in reverse and got the hell out of the Dodge. As soon as I was out of the parking lot, I called my husband freaking out. Unfortunately, I wasn't thinking clearly, didn't get the license plate of the van. I couldn't believe how utterly stupid the passenger excuse for hanging around between the vehicle was. Nor was I freaking brazen they were, as the local sheriff's department and the jail were walking distance to the gas station. So to the guys in the white van, let's hope that we never meet again. So this was a few months ago, and quarantine was already in place, so I spent a lot more time at home and around home than usual. There is a park very close to my house, so one day I decided to go for a little jog. I ran from my house to the park. Since I don't have a lot of cardio, I decided to take a little break. I noticed that a guy was looking my way, but I didn't think anything of it until I started jogging again, and he started walking at the same time. Since I was jogging, I eventually lost him, so I thought it was over, but oh was I wrong. It's now many hours later, and I'm sleeping. When through the window, I noticed the car lights coming back and forth on my street. The windows in my room give away a view of my street. Now some of you think it's normal, but I live in a very quiet neighborhood, so I wanted to see what was going on, as I thought there was a car that was traveling back and forth on my street. And the car stops right in front of my house, and the same guy comes out of the passenger seat, which means there is at least another person with him. Until that point, I was still half awake, but the sight of the guy looking up to my window, seeing me and smiling, woke me the fuck up really quickly. I immediately closed the blinds, which are a tiny bit see-through by the way, and climbed in my bed, phone in my hand. After a few minutes, I fell asleep, only to be woken up by a light tapping on my window. Remember when I said that my blinds are see-through? Well, I could make out the silhouette of a man, probably the same guy since there were still car lights in the street, and he was crouched at my window, tapping from outside, and the first thing that comes in my mind is not to move, and try to pretend that I'm still asleep, not knowing if he could see me inside my room or not. And then I remember that my room is on the second floor. How the hell did he climb onto the little roof area outside of my house? Absolutely no idea, but I know that going down is not easy. I slowly pull the covers over my head, called the police, whispering and telling them that the guy was still tapping. They told me to slowly get out of the reach of the window in case he breaks in or something, that they will be there in about 5 minutes. I crawled out of the bed and into my bathroom, where I could see the street behind my house, and I waited. After a couple minutes, I heard the knocking stop, then silence, then a big thump. When I heard someone call out that it was the police and that the guy was gone, I told the operator that the police had arrived and told me, wait, there was a sound and she said that the police was not yet arrived and not to open the door under any circumstances. Soon enough, she tells me the police is now there and that I can go open the door. I go check outside of my bedroom window out of paranoia, and there was in fact 3 police cars, about 5 or 6 officers outside of my house. I go downstairs as one of them is knocking, and I open the door, thank the operator, and hang up. I tell them the whole thing. They tell me that the guy was already gone when they arrived, and that there was no one there anymore. And the next days, I saw officers in my street, but I never got the news from the guy. The only thing they told me that they found was a rope and a small knife. No fingerprints, no guy, no car, nothing. Hey guys, sorry for not uploading for the past 2 weeks. I've been really busy trying to save up for a new microphone, because recently, right now, that I'm recording on a really cheap microphone, like worth like $10. But if you guys are willing to donate me any money, I'll be happily to accept it. But I don't know where you guys can donate, but if you guys can comment down below on what website suggestions or any apps, feel free. But anyways, this is the end of the video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.